Morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Happy day one. Here we are again. A lot of familiar faces. Another journey upon us. Cool. So I just wanted to sort of lay out the entire point of this challenge, at least as it expresses itself through me, and what you can expect as we progress into our days. And yeah, so we'll start. The bigger point is the Om is a really special technique for me. And it has a strong reputation within the many lineages of yoga and Buddhism. It's an ancient technique, and before we talk about the technique itself, a nice sort of disclaimer on what a practice is and how a spiritual or meditative practice evolves. Essentially what you do is you make your way through the forest of yoga, and you come across teachers and students, and you share conversations and you share stories, all that feed into your capacity to achieve whatever it is your goal actually is. The underlying goal being, a relationship with the inexplicable nature of the inner self. Essentially what you're doing is you're collecting techniques, and so that on the belt of your practice you have many tools that enrich your ability to create balance, to create peace when there is no peace, to create power when there is no power, to create wakefulness when there is no wakefulness. And in that you are well equipped to sort of hike up the mountain of yoga. And so Om has a really sort of powerful reputation amongst techniques across lineages. And so the goal for me, and the point of sort of sharing Om at the end of this year, is that Om is synonymous with mystical peace. It is archaic, it is ancient, and somehow, in an indescribable way, as you practice it and build a relationship to it, you get a sense of its antiquity. You get a visceral sense of what you're actually a part of, a storyline that is vast and beyond the senses, a storyline that we can't really recognize as we look out into our days and we drive on our streets and we talk through our phones and look into our screens. But by chanting the Om, by opening up a little bit of its history, doing a little bit of research, you actually get the feeling of history and future and your sort of little point in this great narrative. And so that's a really enriching thing and a beautiful counterbalance to the myopic sort of focus on future and technology that I think we're all sort of engulfed in. And then the more important part is this year's been very sort of disruptive, obviously, but the Om and the act of chanting itself, not specifically the Om, but chanting itself brings a lot of peace. And there's something to do with the focus of resonance in the body and the willingness to feel the body instead of think about the life that really generates peace on a physiological level. And so mystic peace is the great aim of these 31 days. And I hope by the end of it, we all have a deeper relationship to that word, even if it means very little right now. So with that, that's where we're going. We're going to start very slow and steady, build the basics of meditation, build the basics of chanting, and then sort of progress into higher thought, philosophy, the nuances of the physiology, the nuances of the neuroanatomy, so that by the end we have this really well-rounded, shallow and deep concept of what this technique actually is. And so what we're going to do today is we're just going to chant unguided for about 20 minutes. And I just want you to, meet your Om, meet your technique as you are and as it is, and build an intuitive relationship right off the bat. It sort of mirrors how I practice the Om. I went to India for the first time, very curious of yoga, very curious of soul, sort of skeptical of the whole process, but at the same time, hopeful that it was real, because there was obviously something missing in my life that, I wanted to find in a path or through a path that I had not yet explored. And so I just sat there and stared at a wall because that's what the book said, and I chanted Om for an hour every day. And as I chanted, my throat opened up, I became confident in the sound of my voice, which is a big hurdle, I think, when we start chanting, and eventually a relationship forged, as a relationship will always emerge if you spend time with anything. And so spend time with it, overcome the insecurity, overcome the confusion, and beauty and confidence will be the consequence. And so we're just going to do that. A couple tips, a couple tricks for this sort of initiatory session. Do not be insecure about your Om. Don't be insecure about your voice, even if it sounds off or your voice trembles or it feels tight or it cracks. Just like opening the body through our postures, just like, it takes time to understand a philosophy or an idea that you've never heard before. It takes time to chant the Om. Physiologically, your throat has to be warmed up. Every singer knows that. And so just starting off in the morning singing, especially if you never sing, expect a little bumpiness and a little awkwardness, and expect the mind to respond accordingly. And it's through its negativity bias with a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of apprehension. But these are the obstacles or the frictions that we aim to sort of smooth out through this work. That's one thing. Another thing is the key ingredient is not necessarily the Om. The key ingredient is focus. If you focus purely and intensely on what you are doing, the mind will shift its mode, the world will be forgotten, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself in a deep experience of presence. And that's sort of the big aim. So more than the Om, pay attention to how focused you are or how focused you are not. More than the Om, which comes along with insecurity or maybe a sense of confidence, pay attention to how focused you are or how focused you're not. And then the final tip is be sincere. And I think the key point to sort of feel deeply is that, we're all practicing this for a reason, but the underlying reason, according to yogic philosophy, is that, we're in a state of imbalance, we're in a state of distress, we're in a state of curiosity for this technique, or curiosity for the magical, or curiosity for the ancient, or we just want some time to ourselves. We want something else to pull us away from the reality of the world and into another reality. And so the underlying sort of precept is there is something more to life. There is something more to this experience. There are new territories as of yet unexplored. And I believe as a meditator that those new territories exist within me. And so all yogic techniques are tools to open the door to the inner self in a literal and figurative way. And so the sincerity is you have to feel that you're looking for something, that you're seeking something. And if you identify with that, primary emotional drive, that defines you as a sadhaka, as a student or seeker of the way to unity, the way to balance, the way to connection. And so again, the 3 tips are: do not be insecure about your Om, it's practice. Focus is more important than anything else. And be sincere, especially in regards to the underlying point, which is you're looking for something, as I am looking for something. And that's sort of it. So right now, I'm going to chant the Om a couple times, and you might hear my voice crack because I haven't chanted this morning, and in that, it's like an example that it's all okay. And it'll give you sort of an example of what you're going to do, and then you're going to chant the Om for 20 minutes, unguided, just building an intuitive relationship with this exercise, and then from today on out, we'll detail a lot of finer points. Beautiful. I'm very happy you're all here. Congratulations on joining. Kudos, much respect for adding this to your routine in the final month of 2020. Alrighty, so here we go. Something like this. You're going to sit up in a tall spine, rest your wrists on your knees, bring a random finger to each thumb. Just create length in the torso so that your lungs have room to breathe. Your lungs are the powerhouse behind the Om, right? You're going to push air through the vocal cords and generate the sound. When you're chanting the Om, just a nice big open mouth, a deep O, and then spend time with a collapsed mouth, because the vibration will move up into the head, and you really want to feel that vibration. So I'll chant about 3 Oms. You can look or you can listen. Here it goes. Patient inhale. Focus in sincerity. Last time. maybe a little insecurity, maybe a lot of confidence, either or. Mystic peace, big goal. Okay, everyone, your turn. 20 minutes chanting the Om. I'll guide you into your bodies and then, let you have your time with this technique. So let's get into a seated position. If you're not comfortable sitting on the floor, get a pillow, place it underneath your hips, and then sit at the edge. That's going to make things a lot more comfortable. Rest your wrists on your knees, nice straight arms, and nice straight arms. So your body becomes the instrument. Tuck your chin in slightly to decompress the base of your skull. And let's just take some time. Breathe into your stomach, breathe into your lungs. Let's create the space. So let's start off with sincerity. The strange thing with sincerity is if it is not practiced, as it is a construct of the mind, if those patterns within the brain, those sets of neurons, are not engaged regularly, sincerity atrophies. And we find that we are unable to be sincere with ourselves. And so take a second and sincerely feel, as all human beings feel, that there is more, that there is always a horizon to pursue. But as a meditator, the horizon that is most attractive to you is inside. And for whatever reason, you believe, fully or partially, that this technique, the Om, will help you cross said horizon. And so relax your breath into your stomach, feel your body, surrender to the moment, and feel the emotion of sincerity, the wonder of such an adventure, the excitement of that distant horizon, challenging you to cross it. The second tip is do not be insecure about your voice, about your song. Whatever it is. How it sounds, it sounds. You do not have to chant loud. You can chant softly. And the final tip is focus. And so when you're ready, introduce yourself to the Om. You have about 15 minutes at this point to practice without my disruption. Be patient, stay committed. One last time, happy to see you all. Thank you all for joining us on this journey. Everyone decrease the volume of your chanting. And that should increase the physical experience and support focus and support sensitivity. It's about feeling, not hearing. It's about feeling, not necessarily singing. You're trying to connect to the body. Chant one more Om, and then hold silence. And as you hold your silence, hold your body in stillness, maintain presence, and just feel. And what you might feel are echoes of the chanting, like a voice running down a canyon, a vibratory experience. If you can't feel it, it's fine. Sensitivity is a skill that can be built up. Breathe slowly. Enjoy the quiet. And so as you sit here in your silence on the first day of this 31-day challenge, acknowledge and feel that you are at the beginning. and that this month holds experiences and lessons and insights and thoughts and sensations that you may have never experienced before in your life. It will present challenges, it will present opportunities, and that's exciting. And so harnessing your capacity to feel, harnessing your capacity to be sincere, open up into that. And as we close our session, just some imagery to provoke depth. The Om is very ancient. It comes from the past. And if we were somehow transported to the medieval forests of India, we would hear the Om being chanted near campfires. We would see mystics and ascetics and yogis, and we would recognize their most sacred practice. And that's beautiful. To hold that, to understand that, to utilize that ancient tool. Again, it connects us to the more expansive narrative of our own existence. It connects us to the organism of humanity and the deeper aim of the human species, which is to cultivate consciousness, to individually recognize our own inner self so that we can project a more sincere and capable being out into the world. And so one more time on our first session, chant the Om quietly as if it was only for you. Focus, be sincere, feel the body as it sings, and notice that singing itself is physically pleasurable. One more Om. In silence, bring your hands to heart center. Lengthen the spine. And in this closing moment, connect to yourself as a seeker. We all are. We seek more. We seek the unknown. We seek the new. And as a meditator, we believe that the most significant horizon, at least for the time we are meditating, or the chapter in our lives we commit to meditation, we believe that that significant horizon is within us. All yogic tools, from postures to breathwork to chanting, support us in reclaiming that inner horizon. With an exhale, release your wrists to your knees. With a breath in, open your eyes. And as you open your eyes, repeat in your mind, I am no longer meditating, highlighting the shift in mental experience. That the second your eyes open, the trance of your practice that you may not even have noticed dissolves.